You want me
Yeah,
in English? Yeah,
sure.
I'll give you this one, and then I'll also give you just a basic concept that we have about God itself. I actually wanted to ask you what made you stop by. Do you have like Muslim friends or
I
something?
actually am from Granada. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if you know about the Alhambra and stuff, but it's I don't know. It's so sad the fucking
Yeah, yeah.
Spanish culture over there. But yeah, I've always been very curious, especially because I feel like a lot of the biggest discoveries in society have always been done by
By the Muslims.
Muslims.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: if you could ask any question, or maybe there's something that you've seen from like understanding Islamic history in Spain, what would you want to ask? And you can ask me anything, like even if it's controversial or if it's something simple. Like I don't get offended, so
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, by the way.
yeah, of course.
It's gonna be a good. Ooh. I'd say sort of like this is always something that I've been because I'm relatively like pantheistic, I suppose.
Hmm.
I've always been sort of interested in. So I've been raised in like Catholic culture, and the
Hmm.
one thing I hate the most is the fact that like they follow this sort of like pope, and
Yes,
like everything that like is understood by Christianity and Catholic culture is needs to be approved by a pope.
by the Pope and by the fathers of
Yeah,
churches.
yeah. So is there sort of like a if you had to say like sort of the one thing that you just wish you could interpret sort of widely and like because I guess what I'm saying is that like every religion always, in my opinion, tends to have something that I'm like, oof, I wish this thing had like more fruit. I wish this thing like was explored more by people
Yeah,
to just accept it.
yeah,
For example, in Christianity, like most topics, but for example, the topic of creation,
yeah.
like it's never sort of explored, right? So if there's sort of something like that that you think you would like for me to maybe investigate or explore about.
There is nothing better for you to investigate than the Word of God alone.
Mhm.
And what we say as Muslims is that I agree with you. The thing that I don't like is people or
Yeah,
individuals coming and adding their thoughts
yeah,
and saying, hey, follow what we believe.
exactly.
So, and as Muslims, we say that it doesn't matter what other people say. You're responsible for your own actions and your own faith. At the end of the day, if you choose not to believe in the revelation, that's up to you. But at the same time, you made that fundamental
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
So now the question is where do we get that guidance from? And we say that guidance comes from God alone. Not some guy wearing a bunch of robes, not some person that says, hey, come pay a fee at my building and I'll talk to God on your behalf. We say you have that relationship with the Creator directly. How we establish that relationship and what that relationship is about comes directly from this.
Yeah, so you had that.
This is the Quran. And that's a gift from me to you. And you can read that anytime.
I don't have to pay.
No, you don't have to pay. Oh,
Can I
it's
make a
completely free.
donation or something?
You
No.
can absolutely make a donation, but you don't have to at this time. This is what we do. We go, like you said, a lot of Spanish and throughout with the Western civilizations, they've ruined the reputation of Islam. They say certain things. Our goal is to show what the truth is really about.
Yeah.
What is Islam? So, do you know what we believe is the purpose of life as Muslims?
No, that's a great question.
Okay, so let me ask you this: do you know what the word Islam means itself?
No, I do not.
Okay,
I feel like I must have at some point, but no, I
no,
guess not.
take a shot. Take a shot.
It doesn't even like ring a bell.
Okay. How you doing, my brother? These are English, by the way. So if you want to grab something in English, we got English over here. All right. So we as Muslims believe that this life is a test. There's been a lot going on today. I hope everybody's okay and safe.
I hope so too.
So we believe this life is a test. There are certain things that maybe you're going through in your life where you're just like, yep. You want to take the translation? Yeah, absolutely, man. No worries. So we believe that because this life is a test, there's certain things that happen to us, things you can't explain.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're burdened by problems, and we are constantly facing issues.
Yes.
For a lot of people, they
So
dive.
like sorry to interrupt.
No, no,
Like
go.
in Hinduism, like the four way, the eightfold path, the four truths, the idea that like we're all sort of like born in this sort of curse of hating ourselves, and like the sort of is there sort of like that same concept in Islam of like
No, so we don't believe that.
okay
So we don't. So that's similar to the concept of original sin, right? Which is like
yes
we're born with sin. We don't believe that. We believe in the exact opposite concept. And I believe that is so important to why we have to live our lives the way we do. We believe that everyone's born with innate goodness. The same reason that you stopped here today was because you had that goodness in your heart and the humility to come and learn. If you were born, as people say, sick, evil or with
yeah
sin, imagine what that does to society. If everyone I believe is evil, would I want to talk to anyone? Would you want to go out of your way and have a relationship with them?
No, it doesn't feel like something that would be in our nature.
It wouldn't be in our nature. Our nature is to be good and to be curious, which means that we are constantly trying to learn. So God says, especially in the Prophet Muhammad said, that those who are curious and constantly learning are the righteously guided. That is what we believe as Muslims. So when I was talking about the purpose of life, we were saying like you face a lot of problems. Sometimes we face a lot of good too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, when those good things happen, so when those good things are happening to you, that's a test for you as well. Because a lot of people, as soon as they have good things, they're like this. I did it. You know, that's the human ego. It's natural. But that's a test. So in Islam, we believe that Islam is what we call a middle path. It is a straight path. It's a path that is of balance, knowing that when good things are happening, there's a creator who ordained it. And when there's bad things happening, there's a creator that ordained it. But it's our responsibility to pursue that path, to have curiosity and try to achieve it. We have free will.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay, I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have that choice. Like, so a lot of people try to say, well, if God already just said that I'm going to hell, then
Exactly,
there's
like the
predestination. Well, I don't got to do anything.
Yeah.
We don't believe in that. We don't agree with that. We believe in predestination, but we still believe you have freedom of choice. So the example I like to give is you're a student, right? If you went to school, for example, and you do all your homework and you do all your exams, you're there doing extra hours to try to get like TA support. Are you going to pass that class or fail that class?
Probably pass.
You're going to pass. And let's say, for example, even before the final exam came, if I went and talked to your teacher, like, hey, this student who shows up and does all these things, are they most likely going to pass or fail? That teacher is going to say what?
Probably pass. Yeah.
Probably pass. But if there's a student that is not doing those things and not showing up and not taking the extra time, and I went to the professor's going to say what about that kid?
That they probably are not.
They're going to fail, right? But that doesn't mean, though, now all of a sudden that the student can be like, oh, well, the professor thinks I'm going to fail, so I shouldn't show up to class. No, he has a choice to change that. His predestination is based upon his choices and his willingness to learn. And so the Quran says that people are given the clear signs and they're given the opportunity to reflect. And that we believe that even this conversation that we're having, God's going to hold us accountable for it. Right? So that's our views as Muslims, that this life is a test and that we have to essentially put aside our desires, our wants, to be able to submit to the Creator. How we do that, it's all different. Right? For me, it's doing this. Maybe for you, it's constantly reflecting and being able to do the prayers and things like that, and constantly just getting close. Some people, it's knowledge. It's getting really deep into the text and knowing every single thing between the gray lines. You know? So that's how we approach life.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
So what does Islam mean? What does Muslim mean?
Islam means submitting your will to achieve peace. So the first word is aslama. Aslama means to submit one's will. And in salam, you probably heard that before, it means peace. So a Muslim is one that submits their will to achieve peace. That's why in Islam, we believe that Islam didn't come with the Prophet Muhammad. We believe that Islam came with the Prophet Adam. Because if those prophets were submitting their will and following the way of God,
then
they are Muslim by definition. So that's exactly what we believe. And we believe that everyone is born with that, is born with an innate belief that God exists. That's why when you talk to a kid, they could grow up in a completely secular world, right? Their parents could not believe in God and stuff. But there was a study that was done in the UK that showed that these kids at the age of 7 or 8 said there has to be something there. Because even our minds process this and says, like, look, there's order in this universe. The earth spins a certain way, the orbit, the sun, the moon, the universe, the stars. There's such clear order in the chaos. So there has to be someone there. That's what Islam is all about. And that's why I appreciate Islam, because it talks about that logic. It talks about that faith. It talks about that science. It covers all those things. It's not just about doing works. It's not just about stories and making you feel good. It's all about you and trying to build up that's the base. Yeah. If there's anything else too, if you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer any other questions that you have. Any tough questions too. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff here. So I mean, this is about Ramadan going on right now. So maybe you got some friends, and maybe you want to fast as well. Maybe so you can definitely do that. Are you a Rutgers student?
Yes.
So if you're on campus here, there's a person by the name of Chaplain Kaiser. I highly recommend that if you ever want to learn more about Islam while you're on campus, you go to him. He's overall from College Ave. He has his building there. He's the chaplain. Otherwise, I'm here on weekends. Every weekend, 12 to 3 on Saturdays or Sundays. One of the two. If I'm not here on one day, I'm on the other day. So please feel free to stop by and ask whatever questions you have. All right? Thank you so much.
فإن حاجوك فقل أسلمت وجهي لله ومن اتبعن وقل للذين أوتوا الكتاب والأميين أأسلمتم فإن أسلموا فقد اهتدوا وإن تولوا فإنما عليك البلاغ والله بصير بالعباد